gentlemen, prepare yourself for the most depressing video game news of 2025. Some of you have probably heard the word around town, especially if you hang out around the Bioshock parts of the streets, but some of you guys might know that Bioshock 4 is a very real thing. It was officially announced back in 2019, so 6 years ago, by 2K, and a brand new studio that was set up for the sole purpose of developing a Bioshock 4, Cloud Chamber Studios. It was confirmed by a simple tweet back in 2019, but other than that, we don't really know much about this game. There was a leak that came out last year suggesting that it is going to be taking place in an entirely new city similar to Bioshock Infinite, but this time set in Antarctica. There have been a couple of reports over the course of time leading up to now suggesting that there might be some type of a development hell ensuing, and hence why still after 6 years of an official announcement, we still haven't seen anything to do with this game. Now, for me personally, Bioshock 4 is probably got to be one of my most anticipated games of all time. In case you don't know, I would hold Kingdom Hearts, Jak and Daxter, and the Bioshock series as my 3 favorite video game franchises of all time. It's crazy how long it's been since the last Bioshock, releasing back in 2013. So, yeah. 12 years ago now. Now, although this new upcoming Bioshock is not developed by the original creators of both Bioshock 1 and Bioshock Infinite, Irrational Games, which has since been disbanded, the original creator of Bioshock, Ken Levine, has gone on to create his own video game studio, which right now Ken Levine is actually making a spiritual successor to Bioshock, which is incredibly Bioshock-coded Judas, which hopefully that game is coming out sometime soon, because it's basically just another Bioshock from Ken. But considering that Bioshock 2 was developed by 2K Marin and that Ken Levine had nothing to do with that game, but yet that still turned out to be a pretty good Bioshock, though granted, not as good as 1 or Infinite, I do have hope that Cloud Chamber Studios can make a competent follow-up to the Bioshock series, one that's been long awaited for quite a while now. A couple of weeks back, Bloomberg got out a report as to what the current status is with Cloud Chamber Studios, mentioning that right now, Bioshock is going through an absolute development turmoil. Bioshock 4 was sent to 2K executives for an internal review, and the feedback that was given back to Cloud Chamber was that there needs to be a significant overhaul to the game's current narrative. Now, this is obviously an aspect of the game that needs to be pretty pitch perfect, as it is a core aspect of what makes a good Bioshock game. This doesn't necessarily mean the story is going to be rewritten from scratch again or anything like that, but it does sound as if a revamp is needing to take place. However, this did come along with the removal of the studio head, the director of Bioshock 4, Kelly Gilmore, who has been leading the development of this project since its inception, and it has been replaced with Hogarth de la Plante. I think this is actually a pretty good change up. I do feel kind of bad for Kelly, but if 2K believe that because of the insane expectations that people have for this next coming Bioshock and the legacy that Bioshock has created, and if number 4 is not living up to those expectations, a certain change is needing to take place, then by all means do it. Because Kelly Gilmore, while she has been a bit of a 2K veteran for quite some time, she's never previously worked on a Bioshock title. Whereas if we look at Hogarth de la Plante, he worked on the very first Bioshock game and went on to be one of the founding members of 2K Marin, who would go on to develop Bioshock 2. So he's a person that's got a fair amount of Bioshock experience behind his belt. 2K have mentioned that right now, in its current inception, Bioshock 4 is considered to be a good game, but it's just not up to the standards of being a great game. However though, because of this recent road bump, 2K have made it clear to Cloud Chamber that they need to be more agile and efficient, and apparently there are some fears here of some layoffs taking place within the studio, which obviously isn't great for the morale of the team. It certainly comes across as 2K saying to Cloud Chamber, would you kindly hurry the f*** up? So it's not great news that Bioshock 4 has been delayed. It looks like we're going to be waiting just a little bit longer. Honestly though, if they need more time to completely perfect this, then by all means do that. For this new studio, these are big shoes to fill, especially if they want to provide an experience that lives up to the first 3 games. So far, we've waited 12 years, so really, what's another 2, 3, 4, or 5? This isn't even the worst part of this information. What twists my nipples about this report is the confirmation that a Bioshock 1 remake was a very real thing that was in active development up until the beginning of this year and has since been cancelled and shelved. A full-blown remake of that very first game, which, by the way, Bioshock 1 out of the 3 is hands down the best. One of the greatest video games I have ever had the joy of experiencing. I really don't think I've had such an atmospheric, enveloping, totally immersive gaming experience like I have with Bioshock 1. And to know that a remake was actually happening, to see a modernized version of that game with slightly improved first-person gameplay, along with the visuals. Originally, there was supposed to be an RTX version of Bioshock 1 that was in development. That got cancelled by Nvidia and replaced with Portal. I've always said that, like, if there is one game to really showcase the power of RTX technology, it would be Bioshock. Even still to this day, if we're looking at the 2007 version of Bioshock 1, as there is also the 2016 remastered version, the game looks simply gorgeous. But imagining that first game running on UE4 or UE5 with RTX, considering Bioshock's use of lighting and water, would further enhance the immersion factor of that game. I've seen a lot of people saying that, like, oh, who cares? Like, this is a game that didn't really necessarily need a remake. And to a certain degree, I would actually have to agree with those comments only because the original experience or the remaster still holds up so well. But I suppose it's because the first game is such a fantastic video game and that it's been such a long time since we last had anything to do with the Bioshock franchise. This would have been a nice release to have to at least hold us over until Bioshock 4. And also, Rapture is just genuinely one of the most interesting video game locations of all time. I would do anything to see a modernized version of it. So yeah, some pretty shitty news for Bioshock. Absolutely has to be the most depressing video game news of 2025. It's going to be pretty hard to beat this out, unless Square Enix were to come out and say that, yeah, you won't be seeing Kingdom Hearts 4 for, like, at least another 3 years, then I really don't think anything else is going to beat this. What's good, though, is Take-Two, the parent company of 2K, the CEO has mentioned that he absolutely promises that this game, Bioshock 4, is going to eventually release. He mentioned that I can say hand on heart without a question. So it is eventually going to be a reality, we just probably won't see it for like another 2-3 years. The good thing, though, is there are a lot of Bioshock coded or vibed games that are on the horizon. We of course do have Judas. There's been quite a bit of this game already talked about and shown off so far. We were speculating that it was meant to release this year, but there hasn't been an update on Judas for quite some time. I do hope this ends up being a 2026 title, just considering that last year, members of the media and different journalist outlets were able to play a test build of the game. This is probably the most exciting Bioshock-esque project that is going to release. There was also another game that was announced a few months ago by Blumhouse Games, Crusoe Theater of Idols. I cannot wait for this. This actually releases this year. It looks like this dark, gothic, vampire-esque take on Bioshock. We've also got Clockwork Revolution that looks very Bioshock-y, as well as Twisted Tower. So there's certainly some Bioshock-esque experiences that are due to release, most likely will before Bioshock 4 finally comes out. However, I absolutely had to yell about this because, damn, that sucks. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to slap that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A big thank you to my wonderful patrons and YouTube members. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll chat again real soon.